for once again. You are welcome to ABC, our Amba TV, and today we are coming to you with our Amba history. And in our Amba history today, we will be talking on a very few important things. Sorry, the Amba history today is going to be very different. Different in the sense that we will be reading some articles and trying to make us understand where we are coming from, because a number of people are still very much uh, confused, and so many stories are going on and going on as if we are not where we are supposed to be. Um, as I told you, we are moving on according to the plan and purpose of God for this battle that we are in at. And if we are moving on as God has planned, I want to let Ambazonians know that we do understand exactly what is going on. I'm sure that at this hour, most of you observing the Country Sunday are at home. And please, I would like you to share this link and let's listen. Call your friends and let's listen, because I'll be putting up some things on this TV screen to tell you where we have come from and how far we have gone. Now, make I turn over. I want to tell Ambazonian people and say, for we history, we don't suffer. Yes, we don't go through things. And this suffer, it kick up very, very fast during the 1st of October 1961, when La Republique it be invade we country and start to change things. It be like say plenty of our people, they will be under a spell. I don't know whether the spell be the come from France or that the natural, selfish, egoistic mindedness where an average human being he get. Now, when I talk of human being, now I'm talking plus those who are white in skin and those who have one funny status or the other. Where in those days, some of us, will be very ashamed of our color. The Czech say white man are God. But as the days they go by, we suddenly discover that it is the same devil where they control these individuals, where they call and say human beings. And because this in a devil, they care the color of your skin, it don't make them we would look ourselves very, very backward, trying for be inferior, even though some races that they try to make human beings, they may be inferior, but they don't make a black man, and especially a person in Amazonia, for chasing if you do know nothing. I get some few excerpts for here where La Republique du Cameroon, somebody don't give the lifespan of this criminal way they on the throne now, where they rule Cameroon, this dictator where don't kill more than 50,000 Ambazonians, and then they show how they be joined with Satan for make sure that they destroy humanity. I come today for can't tell Ambazonians and say, if we don't survive up to this time, now because they got a day on our side. Because the main aim of France through La Republique, it be for completely eradicate we and then take over our property. That's all where I go fit tell Ambazonians. But let's get this boot of music. I will come right back.
Almighty Father, Papa, now you love me so, and you know my name. I give Every time I turn around, now you are the view. I dey hear your voice in my heart. Lord, I feel your love over me. Every time I look around, now you are the sea. Every time I turn around, now you are the pillow. I'm a father, you know my name. Papa, you know me. Yeah. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yeah, yeah. Jesus, your love, now oh. My master, your kindness, now wonder oh. Every time I look around, now you are the sea. Every time I turn around, now you are the field. Jesus, you said I be a picking, no. Jesus, you said your love will cover me. Every time I look around, now you are the sea. Every time I look around, now you are the pillow. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Hey. Papa, you know my name, oh, Hey. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yeah, yeah. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, Papa, you know my name, Yelele, 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 yeah. Hey, yeah. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele. Oh, oh. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name.
Drinking warm water before bed shrinks a swollen prostate overnight. Thousands of men
Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You have heard it from there.
Thank you for using Global
That
Kelly.
Abba Father, you know my name, and I want to say our Father knows our name and He knows your name. Yeah, but they tell Ambazuna they say before I get that call, I will tell Ambazuna they say since we are probably become for inside can't play that game where they can't play, then they make them in such a way that they try for turn with a be slaves. And as they try for turn with a be slaves, in fact, Ambazonians them, they decide say, as wise as they and as powerful way as they as literate as they don't go just sit down quiet, then allow La Republic to play the mess where they be play in the days of Ahijo, and it become increased in the days of Paul Biya. So many uprisings, they don't wake up for make and say we will take our position, but what will happen? These people them, they quench them. Yes, they can't use repression and oppression for stop any move where we get them. But I want to tell Ambazonians, they say a time really reach where Ambazonians they talk say no way, we no go continue. And when the talk say they know will continue, of course, for 2016, the check said they will do the thing where they will do them for 2008, they will do them for 1992, and the other time the way uprising don't wake up for inside southern Cameroons, then La Republic use repression for put them aside. I don't tell we some years ago, say this thing, if it happened because Ahijo and Paul Biya, they don't go consult some juju, where the juju give them 50 years for carry out the reign of terror, and also for subjugate people, for make people may they live in bondage. And that's why Cameroon, La Republic of Cameroon, it will be able to subdue even the Maquisards. And of course, since they became Cameroon under France, and they become, for 1960, where they become independent, they don't get only 2 presidents for 60 years, over 60 years. They get only 2 presidents. And these 2 presidents, them, now handpicked, because they know they ever do election. Yes, France know they ever agreement they do election for that country, them, where they will get people the way they will be for the good of the African people. They don't want people to be at the good of the African people, no. They want stooges, people the way they got remote control. And that is why this one for Cameroon, you don't can hang now for up to 40 years for chop for himself, say you don't know how for chop, you don't know himself. But France don't maintain ye, keep ye, because it will fulfill their purpose. Unfortunately, it can reach a point where Ambazonians, they talk say, we don't agree. And as the 40 years and the 50 years of their juju expire in 2016, the uprising start, they send their militia terrorists thinking say they go quench and stop the Ambazonian people as they used to do in those days. But they discover say business no dey as usual. They carry out the most brutal and brutish way of handling human beings. Rape to the highest order, to the point of raping a small young girl of 17 years where they still breastfeed picking of less than 2 months. These terrorists, they come in with that kind of destructive and traumatizing activities. They even go ahead for join with some Ambazonians the way they be proxies for sell we for La Republique, for cut people their head, hang them for tree. You know, it no work because Ambazonians they determine. Yes. People they ask say, why would they fight so they fight not the finish? They fight not the finish because of the selfishness where Satan don't put up, not only in the hearts of blacks, but also in the hearts of the whites. Because if you look at the trouble we were there inside, 3/4 of it be contributed by whites, and then 1/3 or 1/4, now the one way we don't enter now for contribute ourselves, because many African countries they don't discover the secret of these white racist and criminals where they exist in the world. Now, why I talk so? I talk so because recently I just got a document where somebody forwarded them for me. A document where I already know, but I don't know how true this one it be. They say maybe I know we'll mention the country. It say has just definitely put an end to its dependence on France by challenging or by canceling the 11 colonial agreements imposed on African countries since the 1960s. I said I will mention the name of that country where it happened so because I never really verified. But I want to read to us in this our history today, the 11 agreement point them, what you call say accord de cooperation. And I want to tell we Ambazonians, say the evil way to go on in Ambazonia now, it be as a result of this wicked and demonic plan where our people they be sign them. And when Paul Biya or Ahijo be they sign this cooperation agreement with France, Ambazonia no be there. Ambazonia be in a different country. I said I don't get some small interview over here where people they talk the wickedness and how we Biya enter and it begin to carry out some certain activities them for inside La Republic of Cameroon, then cross over to Ambazonia. But maybe I'll give you another report of Biya a little bit later on. But just hold on. Let me share this one with you. And after independence, 14 African countries or 14 French speaking countries signed 11 agreements with France, which are as follows. Agreement number 1, the colonial debt to repay the benefits of colonization. And sincerely speaking, I want to actually know which one be the benefits where we don't get them through these colonial baboons. Excuse my language. I call them colonial baboons because they come only for thief, and through our raw material, they build their nations. The famous quote of Jacques Chirac say, if Africa no day, French will become worse than a third country, is still existing. But they can put some laws and some bondages where our people enter for day. They say colonial debt. Which kind of debt? Where do we take and do it today? Show with the infrastructure where they develop Africa. Where did they ask debt or where did they collect debt? Okay, go on to say, this is to say that the newly independent states must reimburse the cost of the infrastructures built by France during the colonization. We are always looking for the details of the cost, the evaluation of the benefits, and the payment conditions imposed by France on African countries. Number 2, the automatic confiscation of national financial reserves. That is to say that African countries must deposit their financial reserves with the Banque de France. Thus, France has been guiding the financial reserves of 14 African countries since 1961. And these countries are Benin, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, Ivory Coast, Mali, Niger, Senegal, Togo, Cameroon, the Central African Republic, Chad, Congo-Brazzaville, Equatorial Guinea, and Gabon. Now, Ambazonia gets into it because of they will try for be married to France. I mean to French Cameroon. And so when they try for marriage to French Cameroon, they automatically find themselves inside this mess. Where today, we announce and we tell the world, so we not there again with La Republique de Cameroon. Because time where they be go sign this agreement sincerely, Ambazonia will not be there amongst them. We not be there. And up till now, we not there with them because we don't get no standing agreement with France or with La Republique du Cameroon. Thus, the governance of monetary policies remains as asynchronous and incomplete due to the fact that it is managed directly by the French government without any link with the financial authorities of countries such as ECOWAS or CIMAC. Thus, due to the conditions that bind the banks of the 14 countries of CFA economic and financial zones, they are obliged to keep 65% of their foreign exchange reserves in an operations account maintained by the French Treasury, as well as an additional 20% in order to cover financial risk. These are the terrible situations that we find ourselves in, where it not be with place, because we not be there with these criminals, we not be there with these people. In addition, the banks of CFA zone impose a credit limit of each member country equivalent to 20% of state revenues in the current budget year, although the BIAC or the BCEAO have higher withdrawal possibilities from the French Treasury. These withdrawals must first be the subject of the agreement of the French Treasury. The final decision, therefore, rests with the French Treasury, which has itself invested the reserves of African countries on the Paris Stock Exchange. In other words, 85% of African financial reserves are deposited in an operation account controlled by the French administration. The two banks in the CFA zone are African by their names, but do not decide any of the monetary policies by themselves. The worst thing is that the countries themselves do not even know how much of their financial reserves are due to them. Can you imagine that? Now, the kind nonsense, the way where we don't find ourselves inside and will not be a part of this rubbish. The third agreement, being I say, the right of the first refusal on any raw material, raw or natural resources discovered in the country. That means that France, it will be the first people for exploit anything where we get them on a country. If they say no, then you feel hand them over to another person. If they be interested, if you hand over to another person, that's why you don't find coup upon coup d'etat where they take place for Africa, because now France is the sponsor in order to get the countries under bondage. And then they use some knucklehead Africans where they don't get their people at heart, where they agree, may they make coup d'etat, hand over the country for them, so that make France control them. Anybody will agree for be a stooge for France, they take over. And once you come in there and you agree for work leak France boots like Paul Biya for 40 years, then you go remain there until you became the life president. And then I read some story for you. I laugh how Cameroonians they be so stupid. All that one they say lawmakers them, how dull. They just shit on them just because, oh my God, it's so sad. Paul Biya will come talk say the term limit of presidency now 2 years. They say hyung. If we come talk say no term limit for president, say he must continue till the end. They say hyung. And now the shidong for make another mafia hand over the nation for a Peking and the La Republic of Cameroon. They talk say yes, go ahead. You see the kind country where we there inside, the kind place where we there, and you agree to that. Ambazonians, no. Ambazonians now people the way they need agree rubbish, we know the agree rubbish. And so La Republic get for no say, we from the British Southern Cameroons, we are not the stooges of France. All right, that's why we call on all of you Ambazonians, please bring your contribution. We'll fight these people to the finish. They must go out of our land. All right, number 4 agreement being I say priority to French interest and companies in public procurements and public tenders. If we don't want dig road or we don't build house or we want do anything, France give a game for France first. The story of Bonaberry Bridge, now it still surprised me. China give their own money low, the lowest. France give their own, be the highest. They give for French company, they build the rich. Then the French company turn around now, give it to the Chinese for bill and for that agreement, for that railway, they will agree with French Cameroon, take the balance of the money, pocket them. Can you imagine? The balance way for do Cameroon something good, you go now for French pocket. That is what we are talking about. And one of the countries in Africa, I hear say don't finally challenge all these 11 agreement points, tell them, say, they know they insight. I talk this for French people because we are not French people. We don't be Francophones. No, we are Ambazonians. And these people don't put we, hide, put we, wrap we inside their kurikuri. So we go commode. Any man way chop that kurikuri, nail go remain for a teeth. Yes, because we know go day. Point number 4, I say exclusive right to provide military equipment and train military officers of the colonies. Can you imagine? Number 6, I say the right for France to deploy troops and intervene militarily in the country to defend its interest. Can you imagine? Where our people were, they run for go find green pastures of France, they beat them, they maltreat them, they put them inside toilet, lock them for prison, close them up. Then they get the nerves for come for Africa, come intervene for protect their interest. Francophones, I don't know which demon where it don't come upon you, where Africa be look say Cameroon go be now one of the deliverers for Africa because of its position and its elite and its literacy rate. But when I don't become now the worst. And when I want to include Ambazonia for inside, no sir, we no go agree. Now we no go agree. As I talk, listen to this. This criminal make a talk way to show the way to talk. Now listen for way to way it talk for day. Listen. Somebody hearing something? Or it appears
2022, Cameroon's 89-year-old President Paul Biya marked 40 years in power, becoming one of the world's longest-serving leaders. The old autocrat has uninterruptedly ruled Cameroon since being sworn in for the first time on 6 November 1982, following the resignation of the country's first post-independence president, Amadou Ahidjo.
On the 6th of November 1982, they bring this man inside. And then he started for declare
Teodoro Obiang Nguema Basogo loses power in 1979. Human rights.
They now talk other African state the way they seize power. And then they talk say Paul Biya be the oldest in the world where she don't for make power, for hold power.
Biya was born in 1933 in the southern Cameroonian village of Mvomeka. His parents were not wealthy, but his small village was a surprising springboard for his accomplishments.
Yes, for here, I do want to tell we say, that they show this man, say he come from a very humble background, and when he began enter for meet with Amadou Ahidjo, he pretend, but before then, at the age of 7, he will go for school. Then at the age of 14, they send you for seminary. He go for that seminary, something happened where he no be fit for continue. Make the
First World War by joint Anglo-French and Belgian forces. Britain and France decided to divide the country to permit each of them to administer their own territory separately. This meant that the legal, educational, monetary.
Listen to this very, very well. Let me take you back a little bit. You hear the little history of where we are coming from. Now, go ahead, listen to it.
Legal, educational, monetary, and even political arrangements were significantly different in the two territories. Meanwhile, young Paul Biya's future was brightened further when he gained admission to the Lycée Le Dere in Yaoundé, Cameroon's capital. Lycée Le Dere was French Cameroon's most prestigious high school. At the Lycée, Paul Biya studied Latin, Greek, and philosophy. His excellent work in secondary school allowed him to study at the University of Paris, where he focused on law and political science. He received his law degree in 1960, and after graduation, Paul lived in France and studied public law at the Institute of Overseas Studies. Meanwhile, the territory administered by France, French Cameroon, got its independence.
Now, here we see how that a study for France, political science and law, and then 1960, when Cameroon will get their independence, 1st of January, he became back. And then from there, he became a member of the government of the French Cameroon. Meanwhile, British Southern Cameroons, it will remain on its own, and the Northern Cameroons, it will decide to join Nigeria, and their boundaries were frozen. That is why when you hear this Chair Martin going around deceiving people and telling people how that the North Cameroon and Southern Cameroon are going the same and so on, you need to know a little bit of your history. If you go up there, you don't see Northern Cameroon again, because their boundary will don't be given out to Nigeria. But look at Southern Cameroons. If you look down here, you will still see, say, for see where my arrow the point. You see, say, they draw the map, they still put our Southern Cameroon different from La Republic of Cameroon until that chief, it became end of 1960. Then they pretend to make and say, it don't be now like one Cameroon. Then in 1984, he completely went away, and I don't know where they keep Ambazonia. And there's some knuckleheads in Ambazonia that they go around talk, say, oh, it is so, we are one Cameroon, and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, our boundaries are still standing there. If you go to the boundary between Nigeria and Cameroon, you will see the boundary between Nigeria and Ambazonia. And if you go to La Republic of Cameroon, you will see the boundary between La Republic and Ambazonia. And then when you see some learned illiterates, where did they tell, we say, you know, things that don't change because we join La Republic to gain our independence. What does that mean? A country will never be independent. Anyway, just listen to this story. Make a go ahead with this story with these people there.
That were administered by Britain, British Southern Cameroon and British Northern Cameroon, which were semi-independent territories administered as part of Nigeria, were to decide through a plebiscite to get their full independence by either joining Nigeria or French.
I just want to point out to you that this plebiscite on the 11th of February, it will be on the same day for the Northern Cameroons and Southern Cameroons. The Northern Cameroons decide for join Nigeria before their Nigerian independence. Let's go.
Cameroon voted to join independent Nigeria, while British Southern Cameroon voted to gain independence by joining the already independent Republic of Cameroon. British Southern Cameroon and the Republic of Cameroon agreed on a two-state federation and drew up a federal constitution that effectively guaranteed independent administration of the states under a central federal authority.
There were two-state federation. Two-state federation. You know what that means? And that it happened on the 1st of October, 1961. Now let's listen to it will happen eventually when the two-state federation will come in. Let's listen to these chief people, the way they try for, where they don't put you in bondage for enough years. We don't agree.
On October 1961, and the entity became the Federal Republic of Cameroon. Amadou Ahidjo was the first president of the Federal Republic of Cameroon, and his party, the Cameroon National Union, the CNU, won a majority in parliament. So the new federation was born. However, this was a troubled marriage from the onset. In 1972, Amadou Ahidjo changed the federal structure of the country in favor of a unitary state called the United Republic of Cameroon. This was not well received by the people of what was once called British Southern Cameroon, aka the Anglophones. Also at the time, for more than 2 decades as president, Amadou Ahidjo managed to create a system of government that served his vision of the Cameroon nation. This vision was a single-party state with a strong presidential system that virtually gave him complete control of all the state's institutions. President Amadou Ahidjo also built an extensive network of loyalists through a complex patronage system that gave him complete control over the appointment of top administrative and party officials. Consequently, all of them owed their allegiance to him. This was the nation to which Paul Biya returned in 1962 to begin his quiet ascension to the upper echelons of power. When Paul Biya returned to Cameroon, he got a job in the government and was put in charge of.
Listen to this very well. When Paul Biya returned to Cameroon, at that time, Ahidjo Ibibi na the real person. And I don't hear a lot of stories about Ahidjo, but he own rule, he don't end, and he don't go. But now Paul Biya this, he don't come with the reign of terror. And not only the reign of terror, for deprive us of many of the things the way we get them, when we own them, he don't also put up a mechanism and machinery for kill we. Of course, our announcement and our determination and our decision that for tell Paul Biya say, make you go tell the person we be send you say, he don't get them wrong. Because we, the Ambazonian people, God don't stand for we side, and we will make sure that we go ahead with God way a day on our side. And there's nothing that Paul Biya and the rest of the La République and France, they fit do for we. There is absolutely nothing where they fit do. Yes, we don't take a decision, and that decision is done. I want to tell Ambazonian, they say, Paul Biya don't see in so many of those days when Amadou Ahidjo, he go send, he talks them, they go silently silence some of our able and well-meaning Ambazonians in those days. And in the early days of Paul Biya, he started the same thing. And as he started the same thing, it be the work. Many of you know the popular uprising in 2008, the uprising in 1992. I just call some of the very popular ones them. There were so many uprisings. And also the number of our Ambazonian students, they went to kill them for Yaoundé during the uprisings in the University of Yaoundé. All this, they be accountable to their plan of assimilation and their plan of completely destroying the fabric of the Ambazonian people and for make we completely useless. But we want to announce for La République du Cameroon and France, say time don't reach where they go know who be who. And let's listen as this criminal, it be the rise to power for be an instrument of destruction used by the devil for destroying not only the people of Ambazonia, but even himself. Because when you give your hand over to the devil, he go use you.
Of the Department of
Listen to him.
Aid. That position reported directly to President Ahidjo and also gave the young Paul Biya experience in financial management on an international scale. Paul Biya's relationship with the president was a fascinating one and one that would define his future. Over time, President Amadou Ahidjo became.
Can you hear that? Paul Biya's relationship with Ahidjo. It be the, see how well she done. Like man we no fit kill fly. Meanwhile, a devil in sheep clothing, a wolf in sheep clothing. See the devastation we don't do them for a country where everybody in the world, some years before he come in, they be talking a heaven on earth. That is, people feel good, they come meet up peace. I remember as of this time, no Cameroonian was going out of the country. Ambazonians were suffering, but at least they would get bread for chop under the dictatorship of Ahidjo. None of them was good for us. But today, with this beef inside fire instead of just being in the frying pan. Let's listen to what is going on.
Paul Biya's political mentor, and the two became very close. Their backgrounds and even their personalities were very different, however. President Ahidjo had worked as a telephone operator before becoming president, and he had only an elementary school education. Although Paul Biya came from humble beginnings, he was highly educated and enjoyed classical music and tennis. Despite these differences, Paul Biya became a loyal follower of the president. Under President Ahidjo, Paul Biya held a number of positions. He worked as Chief of the Cabinet, Secretary General of the
But I remember this woman, no? Yes, that woman will tell this criminal, say, please, drop this thing. It make plans kill you. So if somebody will kill your own wife, then what do you think of other people? Now the kind man that will
Presidency
be
and Minister of
for
State,
Republic.
becoming Cameroon's highest-ranking minister. In 1975, Amadou Ahidjo chose Paul Biya as Prime Minister, a position he held until 1982. This made Paul Biya President Ahidjo's legal successor.
Drinking warm water before bed.
Formerly, the House Speaker, he will get authority for be the person where he succeed president. But as Paul Biya come, they play the games, play the game until it can't reach point where Paul Biya come. I mean, Amadou Ahidjo can make Paul Biya prime minister, and then change the status quo. Saying a prime minister is going to succeed the president now, and when he make that plan now, make those changes, it make Paul Biya his prime minister. This man will get a plan. Then Francis say Paul Biya will be more of a stooge to them than Ahidjo, because Ahidjo's eyes don't begin open. So when Ahidjo's eye begin for open, they say no, if they leave this man, he no go fulfill our appointment. That is why in Mo Abraham's program in France, Paul Biya confess, say truly, we will check, say we go just take them, and then one time bring them into a submission, so that this their English language and this their oversense, as they call we, it go stop. But unfortunately, we get them in no worker. So we don't try every means. And that is why they now in 2016, they bring out the brutality. When the check say through that brutality, they go subjugate us. But unfortunately, they are discovering that brutality, it never work, and it will not work, because we don't tell them, say, that land belongs to us. It is our land, and no man no fit take them from us, give them for La République Cameroon. If France like, make it join with all the NATO countries, say they go want for take Ambazonia, give them for for France. No, Ambazonia is a different country, and France knows, say La Republic be a different country, and so they no go fit for be part and parcel of that wicked republic. And so I'm trying to see. Let's see whether I'm getting a little. Okay. Yeah. So now let's get back to that particular program.
And the events surrounding that day are still debated by historians.
And see what is going on. Okay, let's listen to which way did he talk now. Let's go back a little bit and see which way it go on. on the 6th of November.
However, Amadou
Let's
Ahidjo's
listen.
resignation and his retention of the chairmanship of the CNU party made it clear to the public that he intended to rest physically while continuing to rule behind the scenes with Paul Biya as his rubber stamp in charge of the day-to-day affairs of government. Amadou Ahidjo, like many, believed the party head position to be superior to that of president. Since the presidency had become his personal estate, Amadou Ahidjo was under the impression that he could return to office after his medical treatment, and his choice of Paul Biya was informed by his belief that Paul Biya was the least ambitious and most docile of his collaborators. He also believed that Paul Biya could be easily controlled even from the hospital bed. As it turned out, both Ahidjo and the people underestimated the quiet and humble Paul Biya. Paul Biya methodically began to assert himself, stamping his image on the nation's life and institutions.
Yeah, we see, it be very clear here, say, Paul Biya, after Ahidjo don't make he prime minister, 1982, France played that game for make Paul Biya for take over. When they don't learn, say, Ahidjo, he don't begin get sense, they make Paul Biya their stooge. And when Paul Biya is staged that coup, he tried to make himself more popular against what way they agree with Ahidjo. Because Ahidjo be check say, as Paul Biya don't can't show himself like say, wait, hold on here. When Ahidjo don't think say Paul Biya a very humble servant, Paul Biya became to grow wings. And then in 1984, where the whole story don't be clear, something happened. Let's listen.
President. But more drama was to ensue in the early days of Paul Biya's presidency. In early 1984, Paul Biya announced that he would soon rotate the Republican Guard in charge of presidential security. The Republican Guard was a paramilitary body that Amadou Ahidjo had created to protect himself, and one that was apparently better trained and equipped than the country's armed forces. Most members of the Palace Republican Guard came from Ahidjo's stronghold in the north. Amazingly, after the decree by Paul Biya, the Guard did not voice dissatisfaction with the impending reshuffle. However, a deadly coup occurred in April of 1984 when members of this presidential guard tried to capture the presidential palace. This was on 6 April 1984. On this day, the Republican Guard seized the presidential palace with tanks and heavy fire. They occupied the Yaoundé airport and captured the national radio station, which began playing martial music. The rebels immediately sealed off the army unit responsible for the defense of the capital. However, the rebel leaders misjudged the situation. First, by a trick of radio managers, their broadcast was heard only in Yaoundé and not in the provinces of the country. Secondly, as he was hiding in the palace bunker.
Yes, the person where it be switch off that radio, where they play only for Yaoundé and other provinces, they be quiet. Who's the person there? Because the person no be na a Wondo, it no be na Betty, it no be na somebody from that area, it be na somebody from Southern Cameroons. Who's the person there now? In fact, I be told say one of the leaders will be come out from Kutaba for take over the airport. It be from the British Southern Cameroons. They what happen. Immediately after that, Paul Biya retire because he be get some Ewondo people the way they be of low rank. He retire most of the British Southern Cameroonians, and then decided
Tribunal implicated him in the plot and sentenced him to death in absentia. But this coup attempt left a psychological mark on Paul Biya.
They sentenced President Amadou Ahidjo to death in absentia. And where he don't deny saying we get no hand in the coup, but the sentence is because France be there behind the whole rubbish. And today, we still see these criminals moving on. Yes, they move on. But I want to tell Ambazonians, they say, we don't go. We don't deal with these people no more. We bring this history for you for no how wicked this man be, even though Ahijobi quietly hand over things for ye. Listen to what he
Integration.
promised.
This new deal was intended to bring about a Cameroon that was characterized by a larger degree of individual liberty and freer exchange of ideas, judicious and stringent management of public affairs, transparency and public accountability by government officials, as well as total absence of ethno-regional favoritism. President Paul Biya was seen as a breath of fresh air, and he stepped in saying the right things to different groups. He visited the nation's Anglophone regions, spoke in English, and even referred to Bamenda, a major city in the northwest region, as his second home. It was a marked difference from his predecessor, whose policies severely undermined English as a major part of the nation's bilingualism. And
Did you hear that? He go around, talk lies, tell people them, promise things them, then only for end up for carry guns now and for kill the Ambazonian people and take over what does not belong to him. But we don't tell you, say, make you go try. You don't enter all places them. They use some of our so-called elites. They do everything what they do. If you want to know the number of conferences, the number of groups as their plan be, I say if you this interview be a little bit long. In one of the places they say that when Yondo Black, if he start with this political multi-party system, Bia resisted him, then locked him up. Then Frundi, way Tifa from Belmukom and the other people, the way they be at the forefront. He can pretend stand for front like saying Ayi. Meanwhile, it will be another chameleon. Yes, he can enter. Paul Bia, where he been a sense pass king. He created a number of multi-party them, plenty party them. And this party, the way he create them, many of them will be under his control for weaken the other people them. Where they will make that election of 1992, he don't buy over some of the so-called pseudo political party them. Then this our selfish man, for them to form a unity for their coalition, for take over from Paul Biya, he selfishly deny. Paul Biya buy over those Franco frogs, made a knock it out of the game. And today, who's a day? Ambazonians, I want you for note, say that game plan never change. When you hear so many people, they come up, tell us how we want to go for Canada. Some people don't tell me, say, more than only criticize that kind of suppose something good come out from Canada. Bro, would you wait me something good come out now? God will know say nothing good no will come out from Canada. Now people the way they don't sell up. Which are the people they talk say, oh, more hand over this government for Chris Anu so that make it bring in new blood and so on and so forth. Which are the new blood day where Chris Anu don't bring up? Where we go talk some more hand them over now to people where they don't talk say, oh, more form war college, or more form revolutionary group, or more form this and that. All these now plans for surrender. If you don't know, make I tell you, these people don't enter in an agreement, not only with our republic, but with the devil for duty, for hand over Ambazonia to the devil. To hand over Ambazonia to La Republique. And when they hand over this Ambazonia to La Republique, of course, you know which way you go end. Most of us, where we talk now, our children's children, they go be slaves forever and ever. I mean, worse slaves than way to way we don't see them today. At least some of us feet talk and we feet breathe. But if we allow La Republique for take control of our land, don't finish. Listen.
In March of 1985, Paul Biya revitalized the CNU party during a memorable congress that was held in Bamenda. The party structures were reorganized and the party was
He pretentiously come for Bamenda, come change his CPDM.
Air out their views. Despite these early successes, however, Cameroonians soon lost faith in the New Deal as the president made a U-turn and started to
They tell we say he make a U-turn.
Simultaneously,
promises
within
we
2
make
years of taking office, Paul Biya made one of his most daring moves when he changed the name of the country to the Republic of Cameroon. The name East Cameroon took when it obtained independence in 1960. Anglophones were furious. Their leaders had neither been consulted nor given any advance warning. As a result, the Anglophones viewed this name change as an attempt to erase their identity and forcefully assimilate them into the majority French system. At the same time, the economic situation in the country started deteriorating. When the price of oil...
He forcefully tried introduce them and for make them...
Beginning in 1987, Cameroon's...
And as soon as that be the go on, once the dollar fall, Cameroon was going down. Cameroon was going down the drain, going down the drain, going down the drain. And today, see what's our day. Now just hold on. When I go see what's our day today. See what way to go on now.
Of an IMF structural adjustment program and budget cuts was recognized. The realization that Cameroon had not been able to change the dependent nature of its economy regardless of the economic progress made since independence was a cause of much frustration. Despite the subsequent efforts made towards economic reform, conditions in Cameroon were less than ideal and corruption was rampant. By 1998, Cameroon was classed as the most corrupt country in the world by Transparency International. And in October of 2000, the Catholic Church in Cameroon denounced corruption, saying that corruption had permeated all levels of society.
Churches denounced the corruption, but it continued. Because of the churches, the way they call the churches, them, the corruption will start right inside them. Because the church where Paul Biya they attend, they will first be the first people to condemn his attitude.
Formed a new major political party, initiating a significant change in the national political climate towards support for a multi-party system in Cameroon. In 1990, Yondo Black and his fellow political organizers were arrested and charged with destabilizing the government and encouraging ethnic tension. In May of that year, spurred by Yondo Black's arrest, another opposition leader, John Frundi, formed a political party called the Social Democratic Front, the SDF. John Frundi, who was a bookshop owner by profession, was to achieve great popularity among the urban masses because of his courage and populist style of leadership. Unfortunately, Paul Biya's government used violent force to break up the SDF's first public rally in Bamenda, and between 4 and 12 people were...
You know, when you get cheap power, when nobody you get them, where people they don't fight, then you can't stand. They look for your belly. The first thing will discourage me about this man, I say, he wake up say French must go, no French goods. But French people, they come, take over a house, put the biggest of gambling for thief Ambazonian money. You know, then Paul Biya wake up, accuse our students, kill a lot of them. Say they sing Nigerian national anthem when they not be the one for agree for some of the changes the way they
and
want.
The government grew. Between April 10 and April 15, 8 pro-democracy demonstrators were killed and several others were wounded. In retaliation, on 25 June, the opposition groups declared a mass general strike across Cameroon under the name Operation Ghost Town. The aim of the operation was to shut down the function of nearly every city in the country. The opposition...
This was the beginning of Ghost Town, which we have adopted and taken back in 2016.
Democratic procedures for subsequent elections. In response to the strike, the government established Operation Commanders, whose purpose was to...
Why the Operation Ghost Town not be continue for bring La Republique on its knees at that time? Now, because some few selfish individuals them, where will be checking our leaders them, but when meanwhile they be the lead for themselves and their belly, and will be very much mistaken. Look at the deplorable situation in which we are inside now, because we give ourselves thinking that people they come now for come deliver. Anyway, Ambazonians, I did bring this report today for tell we say we don't come a very, very long way with a snake, a viper, a python in the making, where they call himself say Paul Biya, As soon as he can enter and he take over, he bring way to way, he begin for bring them. And I think this way, he bring them for the whole of Ambazonians, where we go through torture now as a result of him. Just
Of
watch.
Cameroon. Businesses were unable to endure financially, and people were struggling without access to goods and services. The government's ability to maintain at least the image of control during the strike was the main asset that allowed them to wait out the strike. There was no threat of military insubordination, and the government was receiving significant financial support.
If you look at this demon, look at him, that France has made him, he look like a scarecrow. Where France don't make him. He kill Ambazonians then. After they don't kill a number of people the way they want for free Francophones then. And then the Francophone then surrender. In the days when they call people say Makiza. As they surrender now, each say Ambazonia, where they mistakenly call 2 cubes of sugar. And then say, what did they go do? Call them dogs, call them goats. And then the check say they go just come make we go stop. We no go stop. We've told you, we no go stop. You don't borrow sote. There are people in there for your back, they thief them. Because international don't declare that the worst country in corruption in the world and the longest dictator in the world. But make us show you their country. Very soon you see their roads. You see the misery in which these people they live. And France, therefore, back, they support them very strongly. Yes, now France that it pump the money, check say they go kill all we. But unfortunately, the money come enter, his own very people, they thief him. See how they look like a scarecrow. They tip the money. Then when our people, they wake up, for tell them, say, this is what we want to be done. They come with machine gun them. Bring the old armored car them. Of course, we don't deal with them. They know who's away than they. They start for bomb places will be very typical of the French. How they do for Senegal. No, is it Senegal? Gambia. They lock their the seaways with the concrete. Say they go help any country. And they no fit. Look at our roads. Look at our lawyers. Look at the famous Genifru. Now in that, among the lawyers, the way they be
Francophone teachers who spoke no English to teach subjects other than French in Anglophone schools. Since then, there have been violent armed confrontations between the secessionist groups and the regular military. The United Nations say that the rebel conflict has killed more than 3,000 people and displaced more than 500,000 since fighting broke out in 2017. Civilians, particularly public service personnel and traditional leaders, are often targeted by both sides. The Anglophone crisis has been a true test of Paul Biya's leadership, and unfortunately, the octogenarian hasn't risen to the occasion, to say the least. Cameroon is in a state of deep crisis.
Look at. I'm sorry. The life of this man, look at how he look like a scarecrow. I'm not supposed for the talk so, but this man, he don't make people they suffer. And those people where they wear wig for head, where they're supposed to be in jail because they don't get right for wear that nonsense where they wear for their head. People they wear that thing for their head, they show say they be just. And they say they be honest in any report where they give. But then look at this criminal where it make people then they don't run enter for bush, so they don't die. And of course he be a killer. As if he start for kill the very wife will be they sleep with them. He start for kill naive. When you feel be so hardened for kill a person like that, what more of people where you don't know them? I'm very sorry, my language is hard today because when I hear and I see this demon, the thing they vex my heart very seriously. It crumble everything where Ambazonia be get them. Our small road, the way we be manage ourselves for day. It can enter. Look how our people they suffer. Now see the roads.
Others.
Just hold on. Look at the road.
On Sunday, 6 November 2022, President Paul Biya marked 40 years in power, but any talk of who might succeed Paul Biya, who turns 90 in February of 2023, is strictly taboo in government circles and in Cameroon as a whole. Paul Biya looks set to be Cameroon's president for life. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been Tachenda for African Biographics. Until next time, cheers. Have a good one.
You see, this criminal, he marked 40 years in government. And what he don't do for those 40 years, I want you to note that the only thing we don't achieve in these 40 years, therefore, kill our people, destroy our roads, and make our people become slaves in their own homeland and make sorrow.
The Anglophone crisis recorded many deaths and the destruction of houses and roads. People left the comfort of their homes to the bushes, and others who could migrate to different towns were able to do so. It also delayed the construction of the Kumba, Mundamba Road in the southwest, and the Nkamba Road in the northwest regions. Authorities declared in May that they were looking into reports that security personnel had set at least 70
where
homes.
did they deceive people? Say he began for construct road. For how many years when and now we want for construct road? See the construction, what did they do? Now, for despite the suffering and the bad roads and the torture, they are still burning the little huts where these people they try to hide themselves from inside. And then all these things, the international community, so-called, they see them. Their satellite, they show them everything. That way they argue who burned that school and those houses. They say na Amba boys them. But satellite be show. Say na La Republic be burn the place. What are they doing? Because they benefit from Amazonian oil. Well, La Republic don't thief them. Send them for them. One for tell una, say time don't come. And at time this, where una go live with La Republic. Yes, if you una get sense now time this for come in say Amazonia, what do? We are waiting for you for say Amazonia, we know say na una land. And all of una know, all that chief people them, they know say they are just playing for time. But Amazonians, let me tell you, you are on the right footing. Make man not fool you. Say this so, they don't win. No, they have not. Yes, the Republic has not. Yes, they know say they have been defeated and they're just hanging. I know when you hang on somebody and on something where it not be your own, a day they come where you will definitely drop that thing because it not be your own. And you want to go for outside way, it be your own. I want to tell Ambazonians, they say, we don't go. And we say we don't go. We don't go for our land, Ambazonia, where it belongs to us. And so we want to tell La Republic, say, anything we don't do for Ambazonia, you be thief man. And when we go physically enter for a land, as Papa God don't tell we, and he don't show we, you go know your position. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we will end for here, and I want to tell Ambazonia, they say, as Papa God, he prove say in no way. I want to tell we Ambazonians, say we be on the right footing and make no man shake for anything, because God he be on the throne, and that is for us. So I want to still beg the Ambazonians them, please, Go back for your LGA. Do the best way if you do. Bring us your contribution. And as you bring that contribution, we be very sure. Say, we go get for do way to way we're supposed to do for drive these criminals out of the land. Don't forget, Abba Father, He knows your name. Let's go.
Almighty Father, Abba, you love me so, and you know my name. I give you glory, Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. You know my name, oh daddy, I can see your hand in my life. Lord, I see your love upon me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the feel. I dey hear your voice in my heart. Lord, I feel your love over me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the feel. I'm a father, you know my name. Papa, you know me. Yeah. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yeah, yeah. Jesus, your love, now oh. My master, your kindness, now wonder oh. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the feel. Jesus, you say I be a picking no. Jesus, you say your love go cover me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I look around, now you are the feel. Oh, Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Yeah. Papa, you know my name, oh. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yeah, yeah. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Papa, you know my name, oh. Yelele, 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 yeah. Hey, yeah. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele. Oh, oh. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name.
Drinking warm water before bed shrinks a swollen prostate overnight. Thousands of men are regaining control of their bladders every night as they sleep, by adding one unusual ingredient to a glass of warm water before bed. If you're frequently struggling with urgent toilet trips, a weak flow, or difficulty starting or stopping urination, then pay close attention, because Harvard scientists recently discovered this frustrating condition has nothing to do with hormones, genetics or age, and in fact is completely reversible. They found that the real root cause is a mineral buildup coating the wall of the bladder, which over time spreads into the prostate gland, resulting in the humiliating growth cycle that affects so many men. Most importantly, these same researchers revealed how we can break down this toxic buildup, just by following a simple bedtime routine, which quickly clears out the prostate and restores normal function once and for all. In fact, astronauts have unknowingly used a similar protocol for years to maintain a strong flow when peeing in zero-gravity conditions. It's been a huge breakthrough, with over 157,000 men now finally being able to pee freely, fully empty their bladder, regain their libido and sleep soundly through the night after struggling for years. Tap watch now below, to skip straight to a free special video, and see this 10-second daily ritual that can start easing the discomfort within the first few days. Remember, this has nothing to do with expensive medications, saw palmetto, or invasive procedures, and many guys are even reporting relief from their symptoms within the first 24 hours. Oliver, a 58-year-old from Atlanta, says his own doctor started using this method himself, after seeing the improvement he'd had in only 6 weeks. This is your chance to join thousands of men who've changed their lives, by regaining their control and their dignity after suffering for years. But without this, you may never be free from the nagging worries about infections, kidney health and BPH, all while paying out a fortune on ineffective medications, and their unwanted side effects. Despite this being such a significant breakthrough, the CEOs in the pharmaceutical industry have been fighting to get this video taken down, because they fear the impact it could have on their huge yearly profits. So tap the blue Watch Now button below before it's too late, and see exactly how you can start using this method at home, right now.
Did you know that you can pee out blood sugar? Brand new scientific research reveals this groundbreaking ingredient, and less than 4% of people have heard about it. Most people rely on blood sugar medications because they have been brainwashed by the medical establishment to believe diabetes is due to sugar intake, carbs or genetics, even though new research shows this to be entirely false. Scientists at Johns Hopkins University confirm, for the first time ever, that the real cause of type 2 is due to a sticky mucus that is clogging up your kidneys right now. They found that this grey mucus prevents your kidneys from flushing excess sugar out of your body. So it builds up there and must push back into your bloodstream, which forces your sugar levels higher and higher. But late last year, these same scientists discovered an unusual ingredient that effectively clears this sticky, grey mucus out of your kidneys, allowing your body to efficiently expel excess sugar the way it is supposed to, by urination. And up until now, researchers believed it to be impossible. This unusual ingredient is so powerful, that those using it are achieving healthy A1C readings, losing pound after pound of diabetes-induced fat, and in record time, while saying goodbye to finger pricks. All without the need for restrictive, special diets or potentially dangerous treatments designed by Big Pharma to only address the symptoms, and never the true cause of the problem. This breakthrough discovery has helped thousands of regular folks naturally balance their blood sugar, and now it has finally become public. So drop whatever you're doing and tap the blue button on your screen, where you'll see a free, eye-opening video that shows exactly how you can use this special ingredient to start peeing out sugar too. Wouldn't it be wonderful to not have to stress over spikes or remembering your meds, to have the energy for fun with your family and more importantly secure your health for the future? So if you or someone you care about is struggling with type 2, pre-diabetes or high sugar levels, then take a minute to visit the next page and see if this is something that can help you too.
Papa, now you love me so, and you know my name. I give you glory. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. You know my name, oh Daddy. You know me, you know my name. I can see your hand in my life. Lord, I see your love upon me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the view. I dey hear your voice in my heart. Lord, I feel your love over me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the pillow. Abba Father, you know my name. You know me, you know my name. Papa, you know me, yeah. You know me, you know my name. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele, 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 yelele. Jesus, your love, now oh, my master, your kindness, now wonder oh. Every time I look around, now you are the sea. Every time I turn around, now you are the view. Jesus, you said I be a beginner. Jesus, you said your love will cover